to join the session now. The recording will anyways be there. So all good. First of all, thank you all for joining on time. This particular session is really special. This year I had the chance to attend the UiPath Forward, and um, uh, right from the keynote, the onset was that this is a big shift that UiPath platform is going to take, and that is introducing agents. And one of the big commitments that we have at the community is that we will enable our UiPath community on this technology as quickly as possible, so that we are all ready and equipped to build agents on our own. While these are early days, while we are still exploring, while the agent builder is not out yet, it was important that we first reach out to our community, see how they are interacting with this tech, what you believe, what you feel is works, what do you feel are the scope, what the opportunities with this. As part of that, we did a couple of things. One is that in the global HyperHack that we have today, it is currently launched, and we have a couple of weeks, not a couple of weeks, like 10 days for submissions to go on. We have a dedicated category wherein you can apply with your agentic automation ideas. We have great prices attached to that specific category as well. Here, this is a great opportunity to just have submit your crude ideas, submit how you feel, what kind of agents you can build, and give it a shot. So I'll talk on the HyperHack front, and I'll talk on the global hackathon front towards the end. But let's get the ball rolling with what the technology is all about. Some of you might have already been starting to read about it. Some of you would have already started, understanding the tech. So if there's anything that you already know, be patient. If there is something that you want to add on top of what our speakers are saying, please feel free to do that on the chat as well. And just look at all the use cases that are being presented. So that's all. I will just quickly introduce our speakers for today. So we have Mukesh Kala and Lahiru Fernando. They have been, I would say, the first community members that at least I personally interacted with, where they have built agents as part of their work. So they're here, and we also have my colleague Radu, who will also be who's really working hard to get the platform in place, as well as get the right use cases in front, right, and the right documentation in front of us. So Mukesh, Lahiru, Radu, over to you guys. Mukesh, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you everyone. I hope you guys can hear me and you guys can see me as well.
Yes.
I am
Perfect.
quickly going to share my screen, and just please confirm once you are able to see that. I am sharing it now.
Can see the screen?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. So before I go to this chart, right, whatever you are seeing on the screen, this is just kind of a survey response from McKinsey, which says that how AI has been adopted across the industry, right? But before I go to here, I just quickly want to understand from you guys that I can see close to 67 people on the chat. How many of you today are doing RPA? When I say RPA, robotic process automation, attended automation, unattended automation, doing it from running it from the orchestrator, any of the automations which you guys are doing, right? If that is so, please do comment RPA or just say yes, right? So I understand that yes, people are aware of RPA and we don't need to talk about this, right? Okay, cool. So majority of the people are doing RPA, right? We are doing the automations, we are doing attended automation, unattended automations, all of that we are doing, right? Now, our next question, how many of you are using AI with RPA? It can be simply like using the AI center, using the document understanding, right? If that is yes to that question, just answer AI maybe in the chat, right? Or if you are, let's say you are familiar that how you can utilize AI. Okay, cool. So people are using RPA, people are using AI. Today in this webinar, Okay, somebody is saying no. We'll come to that. That's also a fine answer, right? People are using DU, people are using AI Center. So most of you guys are aware of these terms, right? Now, today, the agenda for this meeting would be that we are going to explain where exactly agentic automation or the agentic AI is fitting into the picture and how you as an individual can create that as part of the hackathon. Okay, so this is just a slide which talks about that how AI has been adopted across the organization in couple of years, and you can see in close to after 2023 we are seeing that shift going a very high speed, right? Now let's understand where exactly this agentic is coming in picture, right? So first of all this started with something which is called data, right? We have data, which when I talk about the data, it can be structured, semi-structured, unstructured images, screen, VDI, right? And people were doing this stuff manually. And then we had a technology, a revolutionary technology called robotic process automation, UiPath being the market leader, which was able to take care all of that, right? So you had this data covered by something which is called RPA. Most of you guys already said yes, so I understand that. I believe that you guys already understand RPA. For the people who are joining this webinar for the first time, RPA is simply mimicking the human actions with the help of keyboard and mouse, and whatever you are able to do with structured, unstructured, semi-structured data, you were able to do with RPA, right? Everything good. All of this were attended automations, unattended automation, maybe running with some kind of integration or some kind of triggers, right? We understand that. Then there was a new requirement that RPA was not able to cater all the requirements. There was always a need where people need to go away beyond. We had a lot of documents which were different types. People needed to understand the sentiments. People wanted to detect the objects, or people wanted to process a lot of data. These were data which is coming in different languages. So the structured rules was not working. And that's where we had something which is called ML models. You can relate this to the UiPath. You can relate this to, yeah, signature to sometimes, right? As Murli, see, I'm monitoring the chat, right? Signatures and all those stuff, PDF automation and all those stuff, right? Which was coming and popular. Then we had an addition to that. We introduced something which is called AI Center. AI Center has very good options where you can use the existing UiPath models, document understanding, bring your own models, and then we call it as a intelligent process automation, document understanding being a part of this guy, right? So this is what we have been doing today, right? And then we got a new technology and the new kid in the block, which is called generative AI, right? Before I move this presentation to the next one, right? How many of you are using chat gpt, and how many of you are aware of what exactly is gen AI? If the answer is yes, just say yes, right? So that I can track the comment after Murli and say that yes, people are using chat gpt, people know what is open AI, people know what is AI, they are using it day-to-day basis, right? Maybe writing email, writing prompts and all, right? Okay, most of you are using this guy, which is the generative AI workflow, right? So now, when you talk about the generative AI workflow, there are two kinds of things, right? One is the interface, like ChatGPT gives us. I just write a question, I get an answer. I do not worry about what is happening in the background, where it goes, where it gets the data, what is the thing. I just give a prompt and I get a response. For the people who don't understand prompt is something which you just give to an automation, and where a prompt is something which you just give to an LLM, large language model, it process it and you get the response, right? But then with this generative AI, there were workflows, there were an option for the developers also to develop the generative AI automations, where you have LLM models like GPT, you have LLM models from Azure, you have Llama from Meta, and all this. And then you have something which is called context memory, which simply means that today, if I go to Chat GPT and I say that, who is Mukesh Kala, if it's not connected to internet, it does not know, right? I just ask who is Lahiru, he might know. Lahiru is a famous personality, right? But if I have to train my Chat GPT on my data, I always has an option to provide it context. I can say that here is an information about Mukesh. You can go to his LinkedIn. You can go to his website and read more about information. And next time when I ask a question, ChatGPT was able to give me the answer. So that means that with the help of these LLMs and specifically these generative AI workflows, you have an option to train it with own data. And now, if I combine all of this together, as of now, you guys might understand only till IPA. But if I combine all of this together, this complete block is called the agentic automation, where I can say that if I combine the power of RPA, which it does very good, combine it with the AI, intelligent process automation, and give it the superpower of this generative AI, which is like prompting, LLM model, context memory. I'll talk about the trust control in a while. I get something which is called agentic automation. So how does it look like? Today, when you write an automation, you either run it from the assistant or you trigger it from the orchestrator. How about you are able to trigger an automation from a chat by not providing this, but by just typing anything? I am working in a banking sector, and today I have got 100 loan application. I'll go to my chat interface and I'll say that I have 100 PDF files. I want you to apply for the loan. Enter. Now what happens? Since agentic automation is now part of this, it will understand it. It will understand the context because I have already trained it with the memory. I have an LLM model. I have the prompt. All of this goes to the next set, which can be RPA or which can be intelligent document processing. In this case, I had PDF, which might be scanned, so I can use IPA. It goes to RPA, process the data, process the things, and send the response back to you on the chat. That is in a nutshell, which is called an agentic ecosystem, where you are able to trigger automation directly via the chat. Simple definition, right? I'll take a pause before I continue. You guys understood what exactly agentic is coming in picture and what we are trying to do? If the answer is yes, just comment agentic so that we understand that we are good and we can move to the next page. Just comment down agentic, right? Okay, so it's an agent working behalf of a user. Absolutely spot on. Yep. Yes, agent, right? So these are all agent, right? And when we move forward, you would see that how UiPath is making so easy for us as a developer to shift from this to the agents, right? Okay, now agent will understand which solution would be triggered. Yes, absolutely, right? So I just say that, hey, today I am an insurance company, give me loan, and it would understand which process you want to run, go ahead and trigger that automation. It can be simply like that, take this PDF and split it into 3 separate documents. Or it can be simply like, take this document in English and convert it to Spanish. That's it, right? And it understand that I have to go to this process, run it, and do the all of stuff, right? One question is that it automatically understand the existing workflow artifact to design the resolution path. Yes, that's the power of agents, right? All of that would be part of this complete framework, which is called the agentic framework, which my team is going to talk about, Radu and Lahiru. But in nutshell, that's what precisely you guys understood. Okay, now moving forward, why UiPath, right? If I have to do agentic automation, I have this agentic AI is popular, right? What is UiPath more popular and why should I use UiPath? The first thing is UiPath AI trust layer, right? I'll take a pause. How many of you are aware of what exactly is UiPath AI trust layer? Okay, 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 cool. So UiPath AI trust layer, if you're not aware, you can just see this diagram and you would understand it. I'll just make a pointer so that you guys understand. Here it is. Okay, cool. So we have UiPath tools, right? We have UiPath tools like autopilot, communication mining, document understanding, apps, marketplace, studio web, all of these activities we have, which are precisely using the AI. And then you have something which is called UiPath trust layer. It's simply like before I hit my data, before my data goes for any AI or anything outside my world, it is covered, it is secured by a trust layer which is provided by UiPath. So basically, if you see this red dotted line, this is the trusted boundary of UiPath, which means that all your data is encrypted. It is not leaving out, as somebody told in this, it's filter dangerous stuff while using AI, right? So how do we do that? It has normalized chat, it has embedding, it has P2 detection, it has capability like authentication, governance, telemetry, monitor reading, and then here is your context rounding. And then it says that zero data retention or training. UiPath does not retain your data. And then you have something which is called UiPath managed AI models, where you have the UiPath managed third-party models and UiPath managed third-party LLMs as well, right? And this trust layer also is connecting to the platform services. It can be Azure, it can be automation ops, orchestrator, and all those stuff, right? And now when you have to connect it to the third party, we are directly connecting with HTTPS, which is the customer managed LLM. So in case you are want to use something on your own, such as Google or Azure, you have an option to do that, right? And this talks about the data encryption. I'm not an expert into data encryption, so people who understand, it says that AES 256, TLS 1.2. So all of this is covered as a UiPath trust layer, right? So UiPath gives all this stuff, right? Second thing, why UiPath? If I am already existing user of UiPath, you know that we have something which is called connectors, which is a part of UiPath integration services, that how as an RPA developer, I connect to the OpenAI or the AI services. Today, as a developer, if you have to connect to any services, you have an option to use API and all those stuff, right? You can use API, get HTTP request, do all that data, right? However, UiPath has this thing which is called the connectors, where you just drag and drop the connectors. It is a concept of integration services. We have connectors with OpenAI, Amazon, Azure, Google, IBM Watson X, Anthropic. And in case you have something which is new, which is not available, you also has an option to build your own connectors, right? So that means existing RPA developers has a very easy way to connect to the GenAI models. And why do we want to connect to them? So that I get that layer of the OpenAI, of the LLMs over my RPA automation to build with Agentic. You already have automation capabilities, attended, unattended orchestrators. You have integration services. You are connected to these services. You have all these options available. Connect them, and you are already part of the UiPath agentic workflow, right? Now, agentic automation. If I combine agents, robots, people, and models together, I will get the agentic automation. If I talk specifically about agents, as somebody was mentioning, it is something which can take actions on my behalf. It is not a straight away one-to-one chat. Now, many of you might get confused it with a chatbot, right? Where you have a chatbot, company chatbot, or your banking chatbot, right? How it is different from there? Don't get confused there. Chatbot is something which cannot take an action. It will only respond to you what it is trained on. You can go to the chatbot and say that, give my bank balance. It will tell you. But if you go to the chatbot and say that, go to my credit card application and get me the latest 3 statements, that it might not able to do, right? Because it is not trained. However, if there is an agent, it will understand the context of the chat, go to the background, run the automation, fetch the data, and give it to you the response in the way you have asked for, right? So that's the primary difference between a chatbot and an agent. So please don't get confused there, right? And that's it. With that, I would hand this session to my friend Radu, who would be taking this journey ahead. Any more questions if you have, feel free to post it on the chat and I would answer it, right? Over to you, Radu.
Thank you, Mukesh. Hello, everybody. I'm gonna share my screen to continue the presentation regarding the Gentic. I'm gonna have a couple of slides, and afterwards we're gonna jump right into a demo on this matter. Let me know if it's visible my screen, please, at first.
Yes, but there are
Yeah,
a few bars on the left and top, which is kind of blocking the view. Is it just me?
sure.
Yes.
Better now?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So, agentic automation, the future automation and agentic robots. What does it mean? Uh, So we have here the achieving the 3 things that are responsible for achieving the AI transformation for an entire business. So we have on the first part the complex and variable workflows. On the second part, automation decision making, and on the last one, trust and enterprise AI. So on the first one, the complex variable workflows, we have, due to the variability of complex business operations, certain workflows that are not currently cannot be currently monitored, optimized, and automated. On the other part, on the automation, autonomous decision making, we have some automation workflows still require significant human intervention, where persons need to intervene when they have to give some validation or some things to put in place. And the fragmentation of an enterprise application has an overall unstructured data. So because of that, we have this agentic automation, what delivers the solutions. For the first one, the complex variable workflow, we have enabled the intelligent planning and synchronization of processes. We have orchestration between robots, agents, and people, and enables automation of complex dynamic workflow. On the second part, on the autonomous decision making, we have independent active agents involving humans as needed. As Mukesh said, these the agents are not should not be confused with the chatbots, because the agents are taking independently actions and deciding which path to be followed. And what follows the trusted enterprise AI, it adapts to evolving business context, incorporates the new tools and application, and enables the trusted and governed use of GenAI across the enterprise. This one might be a descriptive picture, descriptive slide of the agentic. So we consider it as we like to consider it as the left brain, the part of the robotic part, which is structure and logical and efficiency-oriented system processing, which takes care of the mundane tasks, the way of we know the RPA so far, standardized, and so on. And on the right side, the right part of the brain is the Gentic, which is creative, intuitive decision making and handling ambiguity. So what do we mean by agentic? As we previously said, they're robots which are rule-based, act predictably, are standardized, know what to do, when to do, and how to do it. And on the second part, we have the agents, which acts independently in dynamic decision, and are best ad hoc for tasks that require high adaptability, when the robot's parts are best for routine tasks that require high reliability and efficiency. So yeah, this is the agentic automation of how we like to orchestrate the work between the agents, people, and robots. So this is my last slide of the presentation. I'm going forward with the demo that I would like to present to you is the Gentic GPM use case. So this use case is basically this agent is trying to do the work of the project manager. So in all the work that the project manager needs to do, from I don't know, reporting, collecting status reports, creating, updating database, and so on. This PMO is doing. In smaller project, this is typically the responsibility of project manager, and is eliminating a complete PMO role within the agentic automation for the program managers. The products, the UiPath products that I use for the development of this demo is an attended automation workflow with GenAI, context grounding data service, and integrated services. How the workflow of this demo is working. So we have on the first side the human agent, so the program manager, the program management. His responsibility is to set up a work plan of projects and work streams and deliverable assignments. On the other side, we're going to have two agents. The first one is going to be the manager. The second one is going to be the tracker. So the first one, the manager agent, is going to confirm and negotiate the deliverable commitments, update the work plans, generate and distribute the reports. The tracker one is going to collect the status updates from deliverable owners, escalate when no response, and so on. Both of these agents are using as model the fact that they want to understand the intent and extract the data from conversation. And as you are going to see further in this demo, the conversation are going to be based on email threads. The context for them are different types of documents that are likely to be used in order to give context to the agent, understand what is the procedure. So engagement procedure, reporting templates, program example, best practices, and the list is not finished here. Lastly, another human, being the deliverable owner, has the responsibility to provide the status update, the percentage completion, confirming the due dates, and the reason for delays. What I forgot to mention here is the fact after the agents are going to drive this, will drive the conversation, is going to update and connect to the data service to update the deliverables and all the data regarding to the project that it contains. So this demo is going to be divided into 3 scenarios. The first one that I'm going to present now is going to set up a work plan and negotiate the deliverables. So we have on the first side, the screen is going to be divided into two. The left part of the screen is going to be represented by the project manager, and the right side is going to be the deliverable owner. So I start the demo. So what is here? The project manager is going to send an email to the Gentic PMO in order to ask him to create the project, which will have 3 work branches, 3 scenarios, and I'll put them into the data service that we are linked in. After sending the email, the PMO is going to send a response in which will ask for the project manager to provide the due dates and the other deliverable information regarding the project that is going to be delivered. The project manager is going to confirm and add all the information required, send the email, and finish this transaction. And afterwards, the PMO is finding out that the frequency of reporting has not been established. So because of that, is going to send an email back to the project manager in order to confirm with him, getting the information from him, and afterwards is sending a confirmation email to the project manager, and also informing the deliverable owner that has been assigned to a new project that has to be completed in 2 weeks. The deliverable owner finds out that does not have the availability, so he starts the negotiation for the agent, asking him for 1 extra week for deliver the project. That's the part where the agentic part strikes in and is going to continue this negotiation, asking for 4 days instead of 1 week until both of the parties have agreed a common agreement. So everybody's happy. The fact the deliverable owner confirmed that the 4 days are okay, and now the project manager has been informed as well that everything is okay, and the deliverables are going to be received in 2 weeks. This is the first scenario. The second scenario is going to have the collection of the deliverable updates. So the deliverable owner is going to confirm or reject the deliverable initial due date and provide a status update in percentage of completion status and other types of information that are required for the project. So how is that going to happen? The Gentic is going to send a reminder to the deliverable owner in order to put the progress update for the current project. So the deliverable owner is going to receive it, but is going to mention the fact that it has a problem, a challenge. The conversation there is going to go further with the agent who is going to understand the problem and confirm with the project manager if it's okay, or is going to have to escalate it for further information that matter. In this situation, the project manager, I think, says that everything is okay, and until further notice, no other escalation is going to put in place. And the last scenario is the one when the agent is going to fetch the information from the database because when the project manager requests the progress reports for the project. So here the project manager writes to the PMO asking for the report for the created project that it has for all the branches that are available, alongside with the challenges, and mention if the due dates are going to be met or not. The Gentic PMO is going to put the report into an HTML format, and afterwards it's going to attach the information to an Excel file for the project manager as well. So these are the three scenarios, and we are going to conclude with the fact of establishing how it's going to work, how it works. So the project manager is going to communicate with the agentic part of this scenario with a monitoring one. So the agentic workflow is going to answer the status updates and inquiries, send alerts and warning of dependencies, tracking the client obligation, and generate status report on request or schedule. What is going to do that? How is going to do that? The agent is going to launch micro automations, which are going to be known from the agentic through the LLM, where it's going to decide which kind of micro automation is going to the agent will understand when will find and will know which automation is going to launch and when. In the same manner, the update collector, the one which is going to put the deliverable status, delayed or untracked completion percentage, and confirm the due date, or change the explanation of the weekly basis. And the same manner is going to launch the micro automations, and all of them are going to interact with the data service, or in this case, the data service, in other cases, databases, doesn't matter which, and which the agents are going to update and put the updates and fetch the information when is needed. All of these communication are going to be made through the LLM custom knowledge. So the micro automations, the processes, the policy and example reports. And all of this is going to happen in both ways. So the deliverable owner is going to do the same as the project manager, have conversations with agents, starting negotiations, finding out what is the best solution for the best parties, and the agent is responsible to do that. If you have any questions so far, if you have any questions regarding this demo. No? Okay, that's it from my side. Mukesh, if you can continue.
Thank you, Radu. And guys, if you have any questions for Radu, you can put it on the chat, and Radu for you. So moving the session to Leiru now. Leiru, over to you.
Okay. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. See my screen?
Yes, visible.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So when we talk about agents, now let's see what are the main areas that we need to first think of before starting building agents. So if you look at this little example, invoice and billing statement generator, just look at the left side column, Agentic Design. So these are some areas that we need to look into, just like how you build your automation workflows. In those cases, we looked at what are the applications we are working with and how the data is being transferred, the business rules and everything, right? Same way, we have few extra things to look into when we are creating agents. The first thing is, when it comes to an agent, it's more like an assistant that reacts to different user requests. So these assistants should have a role or a personality. That is something that we need to look into. So that could be the first one. For this specific use case, we can see this assistant as a account receivable clerk or account receivable expert taking care of different actions related to invoice statements. And what this assistant would do. So that is the role of this assistant. Initially, you need to define these things. and come up with the high level idea, like what is all your agent is going to do, what are the things that it should do, what are the things it should not do. And that is the whole idea of showing this example. So once you identify the role and the personality, then it's all about figuring out what data you're dealing with. So as Mukesh and Radu mentioned earlier, it deals with a whole lot of data in your organization. But specific to this use case, what are the data you need to work with? From where is this data coming from? How this data will look like? Where are these data stored? Whether it's documents, whether it's databases, API calls for different applications, just understand that this basically serves as the context for your agent to generate responses according to your requirements. Once we identify the data, now we need to figure out the quality and what is being the responses, how the responses should be generated. That's where we need to check for the key performance indicators for these. So you need to define this as a part of your requirement gathering phase while you're doing, while you're analyzing your requirement for these agents. Yes, and then the input context and the output instructions, all that comes in as a part of your data and how you want to process it. Then shifting towards the right-hand side, once you have the data and the context, what kind of applications you're going to interact, how you're going to interact, because this is the part where this agent is differentiating itself from the usual chatbots and everything, right? Because it can perform different actions, and these actions are coming from micro automations. When I say micro automations, these things can be simple, basic automation flows like sending out emails, reading emails, and uploading a document to some system, this kind of stuff. But it's not limited to those things. It can still work with large automation flows that you build in RE framework and all the other orchestration frameworks as well. So you need to understand what automations you will work with, what applications you're going to interact with. Do I have the automations to work with those applications? Do I need to process documents? So once you have all that understanding, then you can build your RPA flows to support your agent so that it can execute those depending on the requirement. So that's the whole idea of looking into agentic automation projects. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So when it comes to agents, it's not limited to any specific industry or a domain. You can actually think of a lot of areas where you can or like introduce these agents. One could be help desk, supply chain, HR onboarding, and many areas like this. So these are some of the areas that I'm listing here, but it's not limited to. For example, if I take help desk, I have one use case, so that's why I'm putting this up. When it comes to help desk, you can get requests from different people, and these requests can be related to, let's say, if it's, let's take as an insurance related one. So you can get requests related to your insurance policies. Maybe somebody wants to start an insurance or an investment plan. There can be a lot of things. So people in the help desk should look for this information before responding to you. So these are areas where agents can help. And not just to get data from a different application, but also go and update different applications and send out email notifications. It can do a lot of things with the help of automation. And not just that, this data analysis is also an interesting area because nowadays in organizations we deal with a lot of data that are coming from different sources. And analyzing data is also a capability that these large language models offer. And they're very good in doing all this stuff. So with agents, you can actually make use of this and functionality or the capability and support different data analytics related tasks as well. Okay, so that being said, when we are creating agents, so now I explained like what are the areas that we need to look into when deciding how to build an agent and what should be the scope of an agent. Um, Once you have that, then when you start creating these agents, we need to look into several components because agent is not just one module like a RE frame workflow. It has a lot of things inside it. So this is where understanding these components can be helpful. These things relate to some of the things we discussed earlier as well. So one of the things is natural language processing. In this one, we can look into how your input and output data is processed, how you're going to process them, how the user is interacting, agent, what languages, and you can find some examples from the users as well. And then the context. You get all this data. So how are you going to manage this data? That's a part of context grounding. So remember, Mukesh mentioned earlier that if you want to perform something, you need to have the context. You need to know about your company's data because the GPT itself, like if you look at ChatGPT, it will not know all the things that you're doing in your company. So you need to provide that information to get a more accurate response. That's where this context grounding can actually help you if you're dealing with a lot of data, varying related things, or generating certain responses based on information that you have in your conversation. Context grounding can actually help. Not just that, but working with documents. This is also where context grounding can help. I have a use case for this. I'll explain in a bit. Um, so once you have that, then the next one is tools. Tools is where you get the access to automations, different uh, activities that you have in the UiPath workflows. PDF activities, GenAI activities, any other activities that you can use to build this kind of automation. And lastly, the escalation flow, because sometimes the agent can do a lot of things for you, but still it is not replacing you entirely. There are scenarios where you still need to have human interaction, just like how you do with document understanding workflows and any other. So those things can also be done with agents using the human in the loop workflows. You can easily build it. And the below is the governance and trust, and that's where the AI trust layer is helping you keep everything secure and so now we know the components in high level, but now let's see, we'll dive one level below so we can actually see how all these things work together. So when we talk about agents, we also need to have a way of interacting with these agents. Let's say we build something, but how are you going to interact with that? This interaction can be done different ways that I have listed under these interfaces. So this can be a part of the autopilot that UiPath has. You can connect your automations to that. Or else it can be a part of your existing automation. So let's say you build an agent to perform something and your existing automation itself can connect to that agent, like just like invoking another process within a automation and pass the information, get the response back, and continue with the rest of the process. Apps, if you want to have an interface, you can use apps or forms, or else you can also use the assistant window itself for attended automation scenario. If you also want to use external applications like Microsoft Teams, Slack, or any other conversation platform, you can also do third-party integration using integration services. So all those capabilities are available in the platform. So that's the interface part. Now, when it comes to the agent, there are a few things that you can do. So I saw one question like how the agent can understand which action to perform. So this is where that is coming. So I'll answer your question here. So first of all, once the agent receives a request from the user, the first important thing to do is understand what the user requires. We call it the intent management. Basically understanding what the user want to do and what are the questions the user is asking, because in a single message, the user can ask multiple things or even a single task. So as an agent, it should be able to understand all of these requests in one go, and then decide what actions to perform to address those things. So once the intent management is done, then comes the actions. So here is all about understanding the different actions. When I say actions, these things can be a simple response that you generate. Like for example, let's say I'm asking to generate an email with a little bit of context given. Let's say I want to apply leave tomorrow and I'm sending an email to Mukesh saying, hey, I'm on leave tomorrow and take care of the things that comes up tomorrow. So for that, it doesn't need to run an automation. It can simply generate an email and show it to me in the conversation window. So it can be, the task can be something simple as that, or it can be something where you need to trigger an automation or a set of automations to perform different things. So how do you determine what automations to trigger? That's where this context grounding, the thing I told you about, which is also a feature in UiPath. In GenAI activities, you have this capability. So you can actually provide this information to the UiPath agent, saying that these are the automations that you have in scope for the agent, and these are the input arguments that you need to provide for this automation to run. Then based on that information and also your message that you get from the user, it should be able to understand, okay, based on all these automations to address this scenario, this is the automation that should run. So this is actually a combination of context grounding, generative AI, and some decision capabilities that this Gen AI models has. So it can identify the process, then it can identify whether I have provided all my inputs to run this process. That is also important, right? Like for example, let's say we need to a loan application. We need to create a loan application, and to do that, let's say this process accepts certain information like the name, the credit limits, and all these things. So do I have all that information in my conversation? It should validate this data. And if not, it should also tell the user saying, I don't have this information to perform this task, so that user can provide them. So all these things are actually handled by this action part. It's more like the heart of the whole thing. And once you have these actions, then you can perform that and generate responses. That's a part of the agent as well. So along with these things, the agents usually come with some additional components like the context management, memory management to remember your conversations, remember key information that you have been sharing with the agent so that you don't need to share it again and again. Also, managing data. So let's say you're dealing with a lot of documents where you need to query these documents and get information to address different requests. So for such things, we need to store this information not as documents, but as a vector data. So this is where the vector databases comes in. So this can also be done in UiPath using context grounding. That's a part of it. It actually generates some vector information of your documents and whatever the data that you provide. So when you send in the message, it will identify all the relevant information and give it back to you in a nice way so that you can understand. So those are different components that comes in as a part of these agents. it is already there, or else you can, if you want to use your external vector databases, you can also do that. And all these components you can create yourself as well. So what are the services that UiPath has to power this whole thing? UiPath Orchestrator here, so obviously to run the automations and the automations that you create in your studio or studio web. Integration service to easily interact with external applications. GenAI activities, this is one important one because GenAI activities is the place where you can access all these GenAI models and the context grounding to power these agents and also document understanding. I hope that part is clear, but if you have any questions, put it in the chat, I will answer you. So now I will show you a quick use case. So we actually use the UiPath platform and all these capabilities that I have been telling you about for an actual use case for an insurance company. The objective here was to support the customer support desk because they have been getting a lot of requests on different things. So this company is related to insurance and they are dealing with insurance related stuff and also investment. So they get a lot of requests related to their existing policies or requesting information about new things, some changes and all these things. So to handle all these things, the support staff on the customer support desk, they need to access different documents that are stored in different places. And when I say documents, this is not just one or two documents, this can be hundreds of documents because they need to go through these documents and find the related information and the latest information so that he can provide that information to the user. Plus, they also need to access different applications for certain requests. So it's not just one source, sometimes multiple sources. So the problem they had was the volume was high, and to respond to these things, because they need to access so many different locations, it takes time. So that's where we developed this agent to support this kind of scenario. So what we did, we created a UiPath assistant to retrieve this relevant information based on the customer queries. So it's not interacting with the customer directly. It's serving as an assistant for the support desk staff member. So it has a window running on the machine. Whenever you get a query, you can just type and it will do the request. These are some benefits that was given to them by introducing. So that being said, now let me quickly show you a demo on how this. Let me find the video, 1 second. Okay. So I have a quick video here. So basically, this shows how UiPath can support this kind of request. So what I have here is a simple forms application. Using the UiPath forms activities, I created this little interface where you can actually give login as well for different users. So I'm using my account, I log in, and here we have a few functionalities introduced. Because there are so many requests, we also have a frequently asked section into different categories where once you expand, you have a lot of additional information there. You can just click and it will easily perform those tasks for you. Those are like additional things as an interface that we have introduced. But under this option, what you see here is the personalized chat and the temporary chat feature. This is more like, so when you say personalized, it remembers your conversation, it remembers your preferences, like your language preferences and how we want the data to look like. You can have different requirements, right? So all these things, it will automatically detect and remember, or else you can also ask it. That's where this personalized thing comes in. All this is built on UiPath. It's no external, it's all UiPath capabilities. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to ask a quick question so that it should query an internal database. So basically, once I submit this, it goes through that same process that I explained earlier, identifying the intention, identifying which process it should run, and triggering that process, getting the data, validating this information whether it's correct, and showing it here to the user. So if you really see, you can see the response. You can also see down here that it says the response is relevant and along with the confidence rate. These are some capabilities that you can do. Now, this is just a data retrieval thing, but you can also upload documents and ask different questions, or else you can ask follow-up questions, or you can ask to do a complete review task. So what I just did is asking a follow-up question, and it remembers my previous discussion, and it gives the additional information as well, along with some suggestions. So these are like different functions that agents can do, but it's not limited to this. It can do a lot more things, triggering more complicated automations that interact with different applications. This is just a simple use case that I'm showing you. So that's all I have. Mukesh and Radu, anything else you guys want to add? If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I have one question.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically I wanted to understand like how is UiPath doing different here, because we have a feature called, I use Azure OpenAI, so we have a feature called bring your own data, where we can upload all our data and we can start chatting with it. And something similar we are doing here as well. We are putting our query and then it is returning a response. So I wanted to understand what is the benefit of implementing this in UiPath. So what extra advantages are we getting if we are putting UiPath in between?
Okay. All right. So when we have UiPath with Azure, right, you can upload your data, that is fine, and you can generate responses based on that. But that's more about retrieving information. But if you want to do anything extra like updating your applications and interacting with different applications depending on different requirements, right? Because here is all about getting data from documents or different sources. But let's say for this specific query, I need to access an external application through API or through UI automation. This application could be something like SAP, Salesforce, anything. So for that, you need some automation to run. That orchestration functionality is the power that UiPath gives, along with that AI trust layer and everything. That's the base for all these agents and all GenAI capabilities. But this power is something that UiPath has. And this orchestration is something that UiPath can easily do with the help of UiPath Orchestrator and its attended, unattended robots.
I just want to add something, right? So UiPath has this integration with majority of the big enterprise software, SAP, Salesforce, ServiceNow. Now, at any point of time, if you want to build automations, you can directly integrate with the native connectivities. And then on top of that, you can build the agents. And along with that, you get the UiPath trust layer. You have end-to-end automation suite, right from the requirement gathering to deployment, testing, comms mining, process mining, task mining. Even with the comms mining, process mining, you can do all this stuff. And then with agent builder builds the agent, right? So you get end-to-end automation suite, not only one part of it. So I hope that answers.
Yeah, thank you, Larry and Mukesh. Yeah, that helps.
Great. Cool. So Rohit, I think people can unmute themselves and ask questions, right? We have anything else you want to add?
Yes, we can. I'll just quickly, in 2 minutes, just take them through the
Yeah.
hackathon. Meanwhile, please keep your questions ready, and you can unmute and speak up. So I wanted to kind of introduce. I see many people over here who have already participated in the HyperHack earlier, and they have been, can you see the screen? I'm sorry, I just started talking.
Yeah, take that.
Yeah. So similar to every time we are doing a virtual hackathon, which is a global one for us. It's a flagship event that is HyperHack. Every year we come out with focus around some products. That this is the theme that we expect the participants to come and submit their ideas or submit their solutions on. This time we have kept it very generic because we did not want to limit the innovation that you or your team is going to come up with. So this time, all we expect from the participants is come explore the AI capabilities of UiPath. So you can go through any AI products that UiPath has, or use any connectors that UiPath is providing around Gen AI, and create a use case around it. So we announced this hackathon a couple weeks back. We have the 21st November is the last date for you to register and submit your solution. What I would still recommend everyone to do is you might take some time to finalize your idea if you're participating for this. But still, I have just placed the link of this on the chat. Just while you're here, please go on RSVP and register for now. All it will ask you for is basic details of yourself, which company you're registering from, and so on and so forth. And that's it. At least it will capture your registration, and then you have time until November of 21 to submit the fully, the fully working solution. So I'll take you through the process. Obviously, everything is mentioned much in detail. So I have given some literature around what all documentation that we already have, what all areas that you can really tap into, but you don't have to limit yourself into anything that we have mentioned over here. If you have any ideas which might be relevant to the work that you do, to the industry that you operate in, or the industry that you cater for, or the horizontals that you are operating out of, it can be HR, finance, supply chain, be it anything. Feel free to submit your problem statement and solution on that category. So there are three categories that we have. So based on where you work, you apply for the first two categories. The first category is hunt for the best COE. So if you are working out of a COE team and ensuring to work on internal automation for your company, this is the category that you register for. Where do you register for this category? When you fill the RSVP form and when you fill the submission form, you will be asked for which category that you are going for. So this is just for people who are working, who are part of the COE teams directly. For everyone else who is catering to the COEs who are working for any UiPath partner, this is the category for you. Try and ensure that all the people who are in your team come from the same company. And you can have maximum of 4 people in a team. So you can also participate solo if that is convenient for you. And the maximum number of people in your team can be 4. As many ideas, as many solutions you can submit from your team or individually. If you are participating with person A and B for one idea, feel free to collaborate with person C and D for the other idea as well. So there are no rules like that. So it's open for anyone to register. And as you can see, the main thing that we covered in today's session is the agentic automation category. So feel free to dabble around, feel free to tinker around with the technology and try to build your own agents. And if you happen to do so, I would highly suggest go and apply in this category. Here it's open, irrespective of who you're working for, where you're coming from, how big your team is. Still, I would recommend less than 4 people in a team, but apply for this category. And for each categories, we have great prizes. So we have for each category, the first prize is $6,000, second prize is $4,000, and third prize is $2,000 for the team. So in case you qualify for multiple categories, like Agentic is anyways open for everyone, feel free to do that as well. The rules are fairly simple. Feel free to go to marketplace. Feel free to go to UiPath's forum for use case repository. You'll get a lot of ideas on what all have been some of the past solutions that people have come out with. The only thing that we expect is don't come with the same solution that someone has worked on last year or in the previous years. But feel free to come with an improved version of that. No one is expecting you to start from absolute scratch and get something new. So as I said, registrations will close on November 21. So this is where the last date for you to submit your solution. So I'll just quickly show you the submission form as well. So this is the submission form, how you will be submitting your idea. So we'll need a team of name of the team leader, name of the team, email IDs, organization, and here you choose which category that you're applying for. We'll just ask for basic details from you on what your solution is all about. One thing that we are expecting here is whatever solution that you're building, first post it on the use case repository on UiPath forum. So go to UiPath forum, go to use case repository, and create and submit your use case over there and share the link to that solution. This way, you will be able to see other people's solutions as well that are out there, and it just doesn't end up being like some solution that you created only for a particular challenge. It's open literature for anyone to refer from, and you'll also be able to do that for others. And these are some of the details that we are looking for in terms of your submission. We need to make sure that there is a working demo for your solution when you are applying for the hackathon and when you are submitting your submission over here. So every detail is on the event page. Feel free to dabble with this page. I'll post the link on the chat once again. If there are any questions, if there are any queries, feel free to reach out to me or feel free to reach out to anyone. Mukesh, Lahiru, all will be participating, and I already see many people here who have registered and who are going to participate as well. You can go on forum and ask question as well around the UiPath HyperHack in case you have anything over there. So that's all from me on the challenge, and over to you. Over to any questions that are there.
Okay, so there is a common question when the agent builder is going to release, right? So it's still in private preview. So Rohit, is it you aware of
Yes,
the date?
it's still in private preview. Yes, it's not. I think it will take another a couple months before it really comes out. Um, but you'll be aware. You'll community and UiPath. You'll see big announcement coming up on when that date is coming. But for now, we don't have a date to share.
Yeah.
Ashish, yes, you have raised your hand. Any question from your end?
Yes, so my question is around this agentic AI itself. So based on the session which we had today, and also we also had seen a demo on the Forward 5 as well. So I just want you to help me understand if I'm thinking on the right lines. So the way the agent AI is working. So when we are developing automations, we are mostly developing automations for two requests where the one of the automations are fully unattended and they are completely triggered, which will be running daily or monthly, which is fixed for the time. Those are the unattended automation. Then we have automations which are on a ad hoc request basis, where the human has to provide particular inputs, and on the basis of that we run the automation. It doesn't run regularly, those automations. So when we are talking about this agentic AI, the approach which we used to take for those ad hoc requests would be a bit different here, where in the assistant itself you will provide the details, and then it will run the automations based on that. Am I aligning with this idea correctly?
Yes, to some extent, yes, where you just go to the chat and you say this, right? The other thing is in your unattended automation, as of now, you are not sure what data the user is going to provide, right? So for example, if I
Yes.
want to fetch my balance, if I just go to any unattended robot and I say fetch my balance, I need to provide my account number, my name. But for all the 15,000 employees, if I just go and I say fetch my balance, then the agent can ask you a follow-up question. Who are you? What is your account number? What type of account you have? Or the other way around, it goes to my certain applications, fetch the data, get the context, and then directly trigger it, right? That is the first way of looking at it. The second way is you can have a bunch of processes. Let's say you are having a requirement. To complete that requirement, you have 15 different automation process. Now, it's a different thing, right? That when Ashish comes and say that today I want to onboard a candidate. Now to onboard a candidate, you need to run process number 1, process number 5, and process number 3. Lahiru comes and say that today I want to generate the salary slip. So now you want to run process number 1, process number 10, and process number 13. This agent will decide automatically what are the inputs which are required to run the first user, the second user request, and do I have all the information to trigger these automation? If yes, go ahead and trigger the automation in 1, 3, 5, 5, 10, 15. Some of them can run in parallel. Some of them will run in sequential order, orchestration part.
Okay. Yeah, so this was my understanding basically. So probably if I can say the way we use the config files, we alter the configs based on our requirements for
Yes,
certain use cases. Then if we are integrating with apps, then you are providing some inputs in the apps on the app from the UI, then the automation runs behind. When we use Action Center, there you have
yeah.
a human. So all this can be clubbed together
Club
if we are
together. Yes.
with the agentic AI. Okay.
And that's what you have to do in the hackathon. Exactly what you just mentioned.
Yes.
So you just gave an idea to all the people. And that's what was
Yeah.
this webinar for, right? That was exactly what we wanted to convey, right? That you agentic builder is coming. It's in private preview, right? But will this all the information with all the tools you have in UiPath, you can still build an agent, right? And that's precisely what you just mentioned. Action Center, humans in the loop, forms in the background, connect with OpenAI, right? And all this stuff. Cool.
Yes. Thanks.
Great.
Murli,
But
I see your hand raised.
everybody
Thank you,
has an idea.
Ashish. Yes, Ashish, we're waiting for your
Thank
submission to
you.
come in now. Yes, Murli,
Yeah,
over to
sure,
you.
sure.
Thank you, Rohit. Yeah, it's a follow-up question to the Ashish. So as Mukesh said, depends on the question from the end user, the agents will respond to run the process 1, 4, or 5, right? So the questions may be no because it's coming from the end users. So we may be not knowing the difference because if you go to the public, so
Yeah.
thousands of lakhs of users may ask the questions in the banking, right? So if the agent is unable to respond for that question, there's no process or the automation flow is not implemented in that entire workflow, then how the agent will respond?
It will simply say that I don't have the necessary information because see, if you are, let's say, building a banking chatbot and somebody says that give me a recipe to build a pizza, right? You do not want to cater all the information. One request, one thing for the agent is we should remember how do you restrict the scope of the agents, right? Today, if you go to an ICICI or any bank chatbot and you say that I want to have a recipe or I want to book my
In
tickets,
that
right?
case,
It won't respond. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. So all those
okay.
unknown requests you can
Because in
cater and you
chatbots
can
you
just
have
give a
limited questions
response.
and
Yeah. Yes,
yes,
absolutely.
yeah,
You need to have the control on how the user asks,
yeah.
right?
Okay,
Control. You need to have that control. And the simple response could be that this is not a valid request. And then you can ask more follow-up question, what automations you have. So let's say you have created an agent, which is for insurance, right? Then you would like to ask the user more questions related to the insurance, right? Which department are you from? What is the name? What is that? And all those stuff, right? So
yep, got it. We should have a complete picture about the end-to-end solution and to
exactly.
implement
Yes. Yes.
the
Whatever you
agents
have, what
in
are
their
the
multiple
inputs?
use.
What are the outputs? What
Yes,
the users can ask, right? All of that you should have.
yep.
Precisely what I meant. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? I see there is one question on the chat, Mukesh. Oh, you already answered.
Lairu.
Maybe to
Yeah.
use
Lairu's fast in.
one of his screens to answer.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anyone else? Feel free to unmute. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amol is having a question.
Okay, Lahiru. It's for you.
Yeah.
Any specific challenge come with agentic AI adoption?
Well, there can be some challenges related to the data and the access control. So those are the things that we need to look into as a part of the trust layer and the capabilities that we have inside automation ops probably. Because, for example, an agent should not be able to access all the processes available in your orchestrator tenant, right? So those things you need to handle, and also make sure that if it's having that conversational capability, should not go ahead and tell that your competitor is better than you. This kind of stuff. Those kind of response control and managing those things are like the general challenges, so you can address them.
Okay, so yes, recording would be available, Mayur, on the same link which you RSVP'd. It would be uploaded as soon as Rohit upload that. Typically, it would be available by maybe tomorrow. EOD, Rohit? Okay.
Yes. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was on mute. Yes,
Yeah.
I will be uploading it tonight. So by tomorrow morning, you can just access it on the same page where you register for the session. As you registered, you will also get an email with the recording link. So you'll hold it. I think we are good. So thank you all
Yep.
for joining. Let's have this conversation going on. Feel free to continue the conversation on the thread. Start posting about this on LinkedIn. What did you learn? What did you experience? And let us have tag Mukesh Lahiru. Will make sure that other advocates also pile on to that conversation, and let's just brainstorm if nothing. And expecting all of you to participate with your teams in the HyperHack. Yeah, great challenge in front of us. Thank you all. All the best.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. Bye.